Hey all, Nudes here. Welcome back to Nudes Airborne RC. And as promised, we have our Frsky X20s and our TDSR12 for our setup for our L-39. Now what we're going to go ahead and go through in this video is how to set up a model in the radio, how to update the receiver, how to register the receiver, bind it, get everything all working, and get it ready and calibrated before we install it in the model. You ready? Let's go.
Get some!
Alright, let's open up a browser and go onto the interwebs. I just go ahead and search for the receiver that I'm looking for. Google will take me to the website that I need to go to. We're going to go ahead and click on right here. Go to the Frsky website. There we go, TDSR12. We'll scroll down. Click on download and let's go to the download section. And you can see this is where you get your manual and your firmware. We'll click on firmware. This is the latest and greatest, so we'll go ahead and click download. Also, when you're using the stabilization, this is where you'll get your GUI or your Lewis script, and you'll need that as well if you don't have that. Now we'll close out of here. And we're going to go ahead and hook up our radio. These are the two windows that come up. This one window right here, you don't need. Right here, as you can see, I added a receivers folder. I like to keep my stuff tidy and everything. We're going to create a new folder so we can have it for the TDSR12. And once we got our folder created, we're going to go to our download folder and we're going to grab and we're basically going to just drag and drop it right into here. Once we drag and drop it, we'll go through back out of the folder, go back in to verify that it's in there, unhook the radio, and we're done, ready to move on to the next step. All right, everybody. Now for the next step, we're going to create our model. Now, before we start, this is going to be somewhat a step-by-step, but it's not going to be like a scripture in God because there's more ways to do this than one. So, ready or not, here we go. I'm going to power it on. And she might bark at us for my previous model.
Throttle active, mode 1. Welcome to Ethos. Throttle not idle. Switch warning.
No problem there. This is basically the home page for Ethos. So to create a new model, we're going to go right here to our airplane for model. Go to model select. And here's my models. We will add a model. It's an airplane. We'll hit next. The wizard is very, very cool, because I like how it asks you, do you have no engine, 2 channels, one channel. We'll use 1 channel for throttle. Ailerons. Now I have a 12 channel receiver and I can run everything on 12 channels, including a separate channel for my steering. But this has an air brake, so I need 13. So for my ailerons, there's no harm in doing this on this model. I'm going to say 1 channel, because I'm going to be wiring it together. Flaps, we will have 2 channels. That way I can really synchronize them in and really hone them in. Elevator, traditional elevator or a tail. How many channels? Right here, I'm going to select 2 and 1 for the rudder. And we'll give it a name. And we'll call it the L-39. Enter. There's a whole bunch of stock pictures in here. If there's not a picture in here to your liking, you can find these PNGs On the internet, there's a few websites. You can go out there and you can look. And if they don't have one in there, then you can go ahead and input your own and select your picture. But for this purposes, we'll go next. That's it with the wizard. Now we'll go to our outputs. And as you can see here, we have our channel 1 is our aileron. Channel 2 is our elevator 1. Throttle. Channel 4 is rudder. Channel 5 is elevator 2. Channel 6 is flap 1. Channel 7 is flap 2. There's nothing on channel 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Now for that, we'll have to go ahead and set that up ourselves. So let's start by setting up our gear. So we'll need a open channel. And the next open channel we have is 8. Here is 8. We will call this gear. We don't know if it's going to be normal inverted, so we'll leave it there. It will be 100, center, sure, 0. The max right there is good. Curve, we can give it a curve or we can leave it stock. I like to always give it a name in case I got to use it later on. Again, there's more ways to do this than one. This is the way that I do it. And for the gear, I'll use a custom curve. I don't need 5 points. I only need 2. Point configuration right here. We'll go to negative 100. Positive 100. And that's it for the curve. You can also slow it down. And there we go. That's our channel 8. Now that we have our channel 8 set up, we also have to give it the input. As you can see, we do not have it here. So we'll go plus, it'll be a free mix. We'll go to the last position and we'll name this bad boy as well. Gear. It's always on. Source, we'll use our switch right there, our SF switch. Curve, gear, and always what our output's going to be, and that is going to be 8 gear. And as you can see, now that is moving, no issues whatsoever. We can go to outputs, and there you go. There's our aileron, there's our elevators, here's our throttle, our rudder, and our flap 1 and our flap 2. That doesn't have any inputs. And to put on a switch, we'll have to do the same thing that we did with channel 8. So to make it simple on that, what I like to do is I go to mixer and I find my flaps 6 and 7, double tap it, hit edit, flaps always on, input will be my SB switch, and it has this curve right here already preset. I like to set my own up. Okay, now for the flaps, we have our curve. We're going to go down here, and now we're going to adjust our weights. Now, when you adjust your weights, see down here, if you have this meter up, for every time you go up, it makes a big jump. So I like to get it in the ballpark right there at 100. Right here, I'm going to lower that down so I can go up 1. Now I'm at 100 and 100 on flaps 2 and my flaps channel. I will go back, and there we go. Go to our outputs. And we might have to reverse the channel, which we already know. So now we have our gear, our flaps, all our controls. Now we'll go here to 9, and we're going to make 9 our brake. Free mix, last position. Brakes. Source, right there on our SH. Curve, we'll add one, and we'll call this brakes. Custom curve, we'll only need 2 points. There we go. Our output will be to channel 9. Yes, we will rename it. We'll go back, and there's our brakes. Confirm. Now we have our brakes. Now the last thing we got to do is we got to add in our steering and our air brake. So we're going to go back to our mixer, add free mix, last position, air brake, and I can really use the same brake curve. I'll just keep it separate in case I need to do any adjusting on the opening and closing, and that's the key thing. For our air brake, we'll use our switch there. And for our air brake, we'll have a closed and a full open. I like to have a partial. So we'll keep that right there. We'll keep our switch on the SA. Our output channel will be on 10. Yes. And there we go. Go to our outputs. And there's our air brake, and there's our brakes. That's functioning, and our air brake is functioning. And last but not least, our last channel will be steering. And I like to have that tied in with the rudder channel for input. And to do that, we'll go to mixer, we'll add free mix, last position. Steering, source, go down here. We're going to find our channels and rudder. And there we go. It's that easy, everybody. It really is that easy. Output, we're going to go to channel 11. And channel 12 we'll be using for the input power of the BEC, and we'll go over that more when we actually get onto the plane. Now, since we have a stabilized receiver, we're going to have to add in 2 extra channels. One is going to be for our gyro sensitivity, and the other switch is going to be to turn the gyro on and turn the gyro off. Now, to set up the gyro, the gain will be on channel 13. And the gyro on and off into your different flight modes will be on 14 almost all the time. So we will go to our airplane, and we're going to set up 2 mixes. One is going to be a free mix. Go to last position, and we're going to call this bad boy gain. My source is going to be my pot. Curve, we're going to add our own curve. We'll go to add curve, name, gain. The reason why I'm doing this is later on when I find a gain on the little potentiometer, the rheostat, like let's say 77%, I can use this curve and just assign it to a switch and call it done. We'll do a custom. We only need 3 points for this. Now the gain, a lot of gains go 0 up to, say, negative 100 to 100. This doesn't work that way. We only need a 2-point curve. This only works from 0 to 100. So 0 to 100. It does not use the negative on this. It just goes 0 to 100. That's all it's going to recognize. Now that we got that done, we got our custom curve. There it is. It's working. Beautiful. Everything looks good. We're going to go down here. And this is going to go on channel 13. And yes, we will rename it. And there it is, 0 to 100. Okay. Last but not least, guys, our gyro on off. Last position. I like to call this one gyro. All right. Our source, right there, our SE switch. Again, I like to add my own curve in case I need to do any changing, which I don't, but this way I keep everything organized. It just works for me. A lot of people say I do extra work. Yeah, I can sit there and I can hear that. I just like keeping it organized. Okay, we'll go down. This is going to be on channel 14. Yes. We will go out. All right, so this will be our gyro off, stabilization on, and what defaulted on the receivers is this would be like a safe mode, but you can do knife edge or hovering mode. And we have our gyro gain. We have our brakes, our air brake, our gear, everything done. Now to move on to the next step, registration, binding, and updating. Welcome back, everybody. So for the next step, we're going to register and bind our receiver. It's very simple. So what we're going to do is go into our model, go into RF system, internal module. Right here under state, we're going to turn it on. The type, since we have a tandem receiver, we're going to select TD mode. Now what that does is it locks our 2.4. You notice that that's grayed out. And our 900M is also grayed out. It also gives your power right here, 10 milliwatts. Now I know the 2.4 is running on 100 milliwatts, so I will run that the same. You can run this all the way up to 1000 milliwatts, but that's just ridiculous for the applications that we're going to need. So to register, we're going to select this button right here, register. And what this does is it registers the receiver to this transmitter and no other transmitter. And then we will also bind it. So let's get that done. Okay, we have our TD receiver. We have our power supply. Right over here, there is a button that is like a bind button. So all we have to do is select register.
Register.
Push and hold the button while we supply power. And you can see it already found it. We'll click register, registration OK, and we unplug the receiver. That part's done. Now to bind it, since it's already registered, we don't have to push this button again. We're going to go to the receiver 1 spot, hit bind, and all we have to do is apply power. It's going to find the receiver, TDSR12. We select it, bind OK, and that is it. We can see the bind light is on and we're gravy. Welcome back, y'all. For this part, we're going to go ahead and update the receiver. To do so, we're going to select our cogwheel and go to File Manager. We'll find our folder, Receivers, as we saw earlier when we downloaded the folder. And there we go, Archer Plus TDSR12. We'll double click that. There's the file. We will double click that. And we will flash receiver by internal over the air.
Bind. Telemetry lost.
And we will plug in the receiver.
Bind.
It found the receiver. Current version. And there you go. Now I've had this fail a few times, and all I did was I reran it and it took, and no issues after that. So now we're just going to sit here and wait for it to go all the way through.
Telemetry recovered.
And that's it.
Telemetry
You got the success message. You tap close.
Telemetry recovered.
And the update of the receiver is all complete. No cables, no fuss, no muss. All done. So for this next part, we're going to calibrate the sensors for the gyro. Now to do so, on these newer receivers, you used to go right over here to your device configuration and you go to your SXR and your SXR calibration, but that's for your older receivers. Earlier in this video, remember I told you about the Lewis script you needed to download. Now you will go to the cogwheel, you'll slide it over, and now you have your SRS calibration and your XRS stable. This calibrates your sensors, and this is like your open, your forward programming if you're familiar with Spectrum. That's where you do all your little fine tuning and stuff. So to start the calibration, we're going to go ahead and tap this SRS calibration, and it says place your SRX horizontal, top side up, press enter to start. Now we're going to go ahead and follow these prompts and do everything it tells us to do. So hopefully this comes out pretty good. I'm limited on camera and space. So where we left off, we have it here, horizontal. We're going to press start, enter to start. Place your SRX horizontal, top side down, press enter to start. So we're going to take our receiver, we're going to flip it over, top side down, and enter to start. Now it wants us to place our receiver vertical pins up. So we have these antennas right here, so when you use the edge of this table, but this has a little bit of rock, so I'm going to get something in the back to help me hold it 90 degrees. Now I just have this small level. The best thing would be like a machinist 1, 2, 3 block. Unfortunately, I do not have one, so I'm going to improvise with what I have. So I'm going to lay this flat. As it says, pins up. And I'm going to hold it still. Now it wants me to hold it with pins down. Basically the same thing we did in reverse. Place our receiver with the lettering facing towards us with the pins towards the right. Same thing, but now the pins to the left, label facing us. And the calibration of the receiver is now complete. And there you go, everybody. Once you got it all done and complete, you get the message that it's all done. All you do is you just back out of it. Now, if you want to go and fine tune your gyro, this is where you do it from your SRX stable. This is where you turn your stabilization on and off. your self-check, your quick mode. Your quick mode's enabled, and that's what gives you your 3 modes basically from the factory, which is gyro off, stabilization, and rescue mode, but you can configure it for knife edge and hover. Your wing type, all the goodies. But right out the bag, you can go ahead and use this just like a Spectrum AS3X receiver, and that's pretty much it. Alright, now that pretty much finishes up for this video. We have a working model bound to the receiver. Our stabilization is on, is working. Now we're going to go ahead and throw it into the L-39. Stay tuned for part 2 of the assembly video of the L-39 from Banana Hobby. Noons out.